I'm Melissa, and this is The Book Break. And today we're at the Salt Lake PHANEX Comic Convention, and we're going to talk to some really awesome people. So many authors, artists, just fun stuff. Let's go talk to them. And today I get to talk to a new author right here, Christopher Husberg, and he writes some really incredible epic fantasy. So Christopher, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I want to talk about your series. Now this is the first book in your series?
Yes, book one.
Tell me about it.
So Duskfall, one of the main characters in this book is kind of Jason Bourne in a fantasy world. So a guy wakes up with amnesia, doesn't know who he is, where he came from, but people are after him. And he discovers that he has abilities. And this is all in a magical, like a medieval fantasy setting. So you have magic, and you have swords, and you have demons. I have some vampires in there that are the scary kind that eat people. And yeah, so that's one of the main characters. Another one is a young woman who is a Tiellan. She's of the Tiellan race, which is sort of an elf-like race in the series, but they've been subjugated by humankind for centuries, and they've only just recently been emancipated, basically. And she is trying to deal with that, as well as her newfound ability to use magic. But in order to use magic, she has to take a very highly addictive drug. Oh. And basically has to choose between destroying herself to save the world by using this drug, or not. So that's another main character, and the story is kind of those are two of the main characters. They get together in the beginning, and there's another one who's a woman who's a priestess in a religion, and she discovers that her sister is leading a heretical rebellion, and she's kind of tasked as part of this religion to go and investigate that and basically prosecute her sister. So, wow. Yeah.
So that's a lot of topics in there. Like, yeah. Some of those are like big topics.
Yeah, there's some big topics. Yeah, I love fantasy. I grew up reading fantasy and science fiction. I've never really considered it escapist, though, or at least the books that I love, I've never really thought of as escapist. In fact, I think they help me deal with reality and think about reality in a different way, which I think is helpful. And so I kind of try to do the same thing with my books, where I talk about issues that I'm like, you know what, these are issues that I have myself or people close to me deal with, and I try and put analogs of those issues in my books. And that's what I like. So that's what I like to read. So that's what I put in my books.
Yeah, and I love that, because a lot of authors are afraid to address hard issues. Sure. Because we think, okay, maybe we don't want to do that. But I almost agree I do agree, sure, that if you're doing it in a magical kind of a different realm, yeah, it makes it easier to deal with.
Yeah, it kind of, like I said, it does make it easier for us to kind of think about it. We don't have the trappings of our society to sort of make us worry about, even because we're so worried even about thinking things sometimes, just because there's a stereotype about it, or with social media, if you say anything, you're going to get either tons of people agreeing with you or disagreeing with you, and there's just this innate backlash to thinking or saying anything. And I think we can explore those ideas in a slightly safer space in fantasy, but also we can, by doing that, we come to view things differently in our own reality, just by sort of exploring them in a fantasy world, if that makes sense.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, so this is the first book in your series.
This is book one.
Okay.
Came out in 2016.
And tell me about your other books here.
It's a 5-book series, and book one came out in 2016. This is book two. It came out in 2017. Book 3 came out last year in 2018, and book 4 is not out yet. This is an advanced copy. It comes out later this year in June.
The 5th is coming out?
Next year, 2020.
2020.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Now I have something interesting I learned about you. Oh. You're kind of living the dream as an author, because so many authors still have day jobs.
Yeah.
But what's your day job? I
don't have one. Well, I mean, writing is my day job. So that's what I do every day. I get up and I write, and that's my thing. And I mean, I've come to learn that when you're writing, well, really any writer has to deal with this. But as a full-time writer, I have to split my attention, between writing and so many other things that aren't writing. Yeah. Like, anything from marketing and social media to mailing things, right? Just like going to the post office and mailing a bunch of stuff, like all kinds of little things that I was like, I never thought that's not really what I thought I signed up for when I wanted to become a writer, but it's part of being a writer, coming to things like this, like a Comic-Con or a fan convention, that's part of the job. And I mean, I'm coming to love these parts of the job as well, some of them. some more than others. But for me, writing is always what I've loved. It's always what I've wanted to do, and I'm grateful that I get to do it every day, basically.
So for our fans out there that are interested in being a writer, you've got to have a schedule. You've got to have a certain number of words that you write a day. Tell me about a little bit, what does your day, your schedule, do you have a daily number of words, weekly? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I get up pretty early. I find that I am most effective at writing either really late at night or really early in the morning.
Okay.
And I guess I'm getting older because later at night doesn't work for me as well anymore. So for me, it's the morning. So I get up at between 5 and 5:30, and I try to get in at least 1,000 words in the morning before the rest of my family gets up, before we kind of have breakfast together and then we all start our days. And then, so at least 1,000 words in the morning, and then around 9 o'clock I go back to work and try and get 2,000 is my sort of daily minimum goal, so 2,000 words a day. And so I try and get the rest of those 2,000 in if I can. If I'm on a roll, I shoot for more. Sometimes 2,500, sometimes 3,000. On rare occasions, I'll get a lot more than that, but 2,000 is sort of my daily minimum. And then the rest, usually in the afternoons, I transition to things like my blog or social media or some of these other little things I mentioned that are part of being a writer that you don't normally think of, but are just little logistical things.
Yeah, so for our viewers, where can they find your books? Where can they buy them?
Yeah, you can find them online on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Most Barnes & Nobles carry my books as well. So pretty much anywhere books are usually sold, you can find my books, and a lot of independent bookstores as well. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Christopher, so much for talking to me today.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us today on the Book Break. We'll see you next time.